Hi, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. As Christine said, the name of our session is Let CASAS Be Your Compass for your ABE. What's on the horizon? My name is Laura Fetter, and I'm the Program Development Director for CASAS, and I'm joined by my colleague and friend, Christine Maines, and she's a National Program and Training Specialist for CASAS. So before we get started, we wanted to do a little inclusion activity since we are in Texas. So our question is, what country and Western song best describes your relationships with assessments? And we're going to give you three options. Is it Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash? So basically not really happy about having to give assessments and you're in a ring of fire. If you don't know what the song is, Christine's playing it for you. They can't. Or is it Stand By Your Man, more of a compliance issue? Like, this is what I got to do, so I'm going to stand by my assessment. Or your third option is Forever and Ever, Amen. I love assessment, forever and ever. So obviously that's my song. That's Christine's song because we work for CASAS. Yes. So those are your options. Go ahead and if it's Ring of Fire, raise your hand. Okay, that's good to know. Thanks for your honesty. Yeah. Is it Stand By Your Man? This is a compliance thing. I got to give assessments, so I'm going to stand by my man. Okay. Or Forever and Ever and Ever. I love assessments. All right. So we have a great mix of who's here today. Let me see if there's. Yeah. And thank you, Karen, who's online. She says Forever and Ever too. All right. So let me turn the. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, wait a second. This is what I'm looking at right here, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, great. So at CASAS, we like to say, let CASAS be your compass, because we know students are on a very long journey, right? So the great thing about using assessments is it helps students navigate their journey, right? Whether it's from ESL to workforce development or ABE to workforce development, that assessment helps students, it serves as a compass along their journey for them to know where they are. And also because our name is CASA, sometimes people think we are just for ESL because it sounds like a Spanish name, right? And here's a little visual of for programs that use CASAS for both ESL and ABE. It serves as a bridge from one program to the other. There's a seamless transition to a different assessment. See, we're going over the bridge and meeting our goals. And then if you're giving another assessment, sometimes that transition may not be as smooth because they're using one for ESL and then they're using a different assessment for ABE. So we didn't put any sharks in the water in this little visual, but you get the idea. So today we're going to be talking about what are the tools that CASAS provides for ABE learners. And so here are the essential skills compass points that CASAS helps you navigate. So we have assessments for high school diploma. We have assessments for workforce readiness tools. And then we have our NRS approved assessments, which most people know us for. So those are reading and math goals 2. And yep, those are our NRS approved assessments for ABE tests. For the high school diploma assessments, we're going to talk a little bit about the NEDP program, the National External Diploma Plus program. And we're also going to talk about our eWorks program. Those are our work readiness tools. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our other tools that you may not have heard about. So there we go, NEDP, eWorks, and then e-tests are the online assessments. And we also have a Spanish reading comprehensive and a writing assessment. Most people don't really know much about those, but we're going to share a little bit about that today. And I think it's over to you, Christine.
So as Laura said, when we think about our students' journey as ABE students, for our ABE students, we have a full spectrum of assessments for you to use with your students along their journey, whether they're native speakers, right, or non-native speakers that are high functioning, right, and have a proficiency in their written language as well for Spanish comprehension. So the Goals 2 series is a great series that changed when we launched our Math Goals 2. We used to have reading and math goals. A lot of people are calling it 1, and that's okay because it's the first iteration, right? But Goals 2 is a little different. As you see here, how many levels do you see on this particular slide? We have alternate forms at each level. So there are 4 levels, but that was Goals 1. For Goals 2, we've changed the series to have 5 levels. So essentially what that means is whether it's delivered through e-tests, which is our online testing platform, or paper tests, there are 5 levels for the new Goals 2 series. So think of as this candy bar used to be in 4 sections. So we're going to do a little mental math here for a second. 4 sections of a candy bar. If I'm now cutting the candy bar into 5 sections, are those sections of the chocolate candy bar smaller if I've got 5 sections or larger? Smaller. Great. We did math at like 8:15 in the morning. Come on, right? So what that means is the bands or the scope of the scale score for each of these 5 levels is now smaller. So where we may have had 10 to 13 points on a scale score in a section of the chocolate bar, AKA a level, right, of Goals 2, now we have a smaller band, so there'll be less points within each level so that students can make a gain sooner. Does that make sense? So instead of this broad scale of questions on the scale, broad scale on the scale score across all 5 levels, each level will focus on a smaller section of that full scale. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Okay. I love the chocolate bar because I love chocolate, and that makes sense. So again, as Laura mentioned, reading goals is approved, and reading goals, again, is some people are referring it as Goals 1, is approved through June 30th. And on there's a sunset period, right, to the end of this program year. Math Goals 2 was approved from 20 till 2030. So it had the 7-year approval, which is a testimony to the quality of the test series. NRS says, okay, 7 years, this is a good one, right? That's what they mean when they give us 7 years of approval. So reading goals will be going away June 30th. As far as we have right now, information from the NRS, that's where we feel like we're in the ring of fire some days, right? But Goals 2 has been submitted, and we are awaiting that final approval. And I want to clarify what that means. Way back in October, we actually submitted all of the test series test items. Then our Octave comes back to us and says, here's questions. We need to ask some more questions. We have gone through all of the parts that we need to go through, right? So now we're kind of sitting at the dock of the bay, but we haven't thrown our dinghy out, right, to hook in to the dock. Does that make sense on this journey? So we're just waiting now for that final approval, which we have. Laura, do you want to say anything about that? We've been waiting and we will wait. We just don't know, right, yet. That's Thank you, Laura. So short version of that is reading goals 2. We're waiting for that final approval. We've been assured that when it happens, if it's too close to the end of the program year, then we will get an extension, much like we did with Life and Work, right? Life and Work came out and they said, we understand it takes a little time sometimes to turn the Titanic around in our programs, right? So they said, you can choose to transition to steps for ESL program, right? Or continue to use Life and Work, which was an extension on the approval for a year for give folks in programs a chance. So it sounds like everybody's aware of that's kind of how it works sometimes. So reading goals we expect will be the same way. If they don't give us enough time to turn the Titanic around, they will give an extension on reading goals 1, as some people are calling it, and give people the option to transition when you're ready, which is fair and reasonable, right? So what's different about goals 1, or the first goals reading goals series, is that there were 4 levels, right? So just to sum up, now there are 5 levels, which is goals 2. As you see there, A, B, C, D, and now level E. That's the 5th level that we saw in the picture before. And again, this test series for ABE, the goals 2 series, it is expansive from the very low beginning to the very advanced level of our ABE program. So NRS levels 1 through 6. And then, of course, the focus and the design of the Goals 2 test series is very important. It is focused on measuring the College and Career Readiness standards, those CCRs, as we have said many times before. And let's not forget that CASAS competencies are also being measured. So the 3 things that are measured within this Goals 2 series, and what you'll find in each test item, is standards, those CCRs, CASAS competencies, and task item types. So each discrete test item is aligned to and designed with the College and Career Readiness standards in mind, the CASAS competencies, and task and item types, and we're going to look a little bit at that. Each test item is, of course, relevant and very responsive to the specific population that we're serving. So things like reading an email to understand what the main idea is, looking at a bus schedule to interpret information about when someone might need to be at what stop to get to work. So each of those test items are very specific to life and work for adults. It's relevant. It makes sense to them. Oh, this is why I'm taking this test, so that you can understand my functional ability in life and work. Another thing that's important about the Goals 2 series that is different than the first test series is that each of the levels you see here, if this were working, I would point, so I'm going to use my finger, right? Levels A through E, as you see, that's the CASAS test level on the right side of your screen. That's color coded for each of the test levels. Those are the CASAS levels. On the far left side, you'll see the NRS levels in gray, from levels 1 at the low beginning to the highest level 6 advanced. So this series covers all of the NRS levels, but what's different about it is that if a student is very low beginning, which we have many of those students, I know I did in my learning lab, even though they may stay at level A, which is the low beginning level, they could make a gain from NRS level 1 to NRS level 2, but still be at level A. So that gives you an opportunity for students to make a gain, because we all know that learning curve for our low beginning students, right? There's vocabulary, context, lots of exposure to main idea, and vocabulary and context and multiple meaning words are really important at that level, right? So that's the beauty of this design. So it's not a one-to-one correlation, level A equals NRS 1. It's level A equals NRS 1 and 2 from a functional level standpoint. So those students have an opportunity to make that gain. Pretty exciting, right? So it's much different than the Goals series was. So this is just a snapshot and a sample. Now, if you were to Google right now, a keyword search, CASAS Math Goals 2, and you would Google test specifics or timing charts, these are all available online. You can look at these online. But I want to ask a question about, we've got the levels down that far left side, the form numbers, you don't have to memorize them, they're in a table, the number of test items, and the test timing. And that fourth column is the allowable test time. It's the allowable test time, the maximum amount of time you can allow, right? But we have research studies that are ongoing, right? That's what we do as a test publisher. The average test time is in the green column. What do you notice about the reality of the average test time it's taking students versus the actual or versus the allowable time? What do you notice is difference between what's allowed Say it again. Right. So what are the implications for if we as proctors and teachers, instructors know that the average test time is shorter? How can we approach that with our students? No worries. You've got plenty of time, right? No worries. You've got plenty of time. And so while it's a timed test, it's really important to note that we've field tested these test items and series significantly over an extended period of time to ensure that the heat is turned down for our adult students who may or may not have had the most positive experience in the first place, right? In a testing environment. I know personally myself, I have an advanced degree, but every time I sat down to a test, it was like, I've only got this amount of time. I've only got an hour and a half. And it raised my anxiety significantly. So we can prepare our students to let them know this test has been designed to give you plenty of time. It's not testing your ability to finish test items in a short period of time. It's testing your competency on specific skills. And you'll have plenty of time, right? So it gives them an opportunity. Now, Appraisals versus locators, what's the difference? Can anybody tell me what's the difference between, first of all, how many of you used CASAS assessments before? I meant to ask that at the beginning. So about half of you, okay. So can anyone share what the difference between our appraisal is versus the locator? One is online. Which one is online? The locator. So the locator is shorter because we've got AI and a beautiful algorithm that psychometricians, I will say, are much smarter than me, who can say, after this 14 set of questions, we have an idea about what functioning level the student is at. And the online test takes that locator and dovetails it directly into the pre-test session. So for my adult students sitting down, they don't feel the difference, right? It's all one sitting. So that being said, if you're online testing, it's going to be 15 minutes allowed for that. The appraisal is a little longer. It's a set form of 28 questions, and that has to be hand scored, right? So if you are doing online testing, what's the average time it's going to take a student to get a math goals or a math competency report? We'll know how they're doing with math. About how much time? The locator plus, let's choose level B. Say it out loud and proud. So we want to allow a total of 95 minutes for all the levels. And if I'm testing students just for a certain level, because some of our classes are organized that way, right? We can know that we want to have that 15 plus 65, 80 minutes, plus you added 10 to give that time to set up the test, to talk, go through those suggested verbal instructions in the test protocol, right? Great job. So this is the Reading Goals 2 test specifics. We obviously don't have the average time yet because the series hasn't been launched yet, but we can and have been assured that we can estimate that it will be similar. It will take less time than is actually allowed. We do have some preliminary numbers, but until we've actually launched the test series, right? We will wait to see what reality tells us in testing environments that are actually taking Reading Goals 2. You see the 5 levels, same parallel construction, right? Appraisal has 28 questions, allowable 30. Locator, 14 questions, 20 minutes allowed. And then whatever level is appropriate. So that locator appraisal has a broad set of questions, right? And then goes like this, right? And figures out where the student is functioning and automatically delivers the leveled test that's appropriate for that student's functional level. That's the online version. Paper test version, you would give the appraisal, hand score, and then determine the next assigned test or what's appropriate. Any questions about the Reading Goals 2 series that's coming out? It's the same parallel construction as Math Goals 2. Nothing is different. So if you know about Math Goals 2, you know that Reading Goals 2 is very similar. Again, all of these slides will be available to you in PDF on the Whova app, and all of these test timing charts are on our website. This is just the Reading Goals test specifics, and those also are online as well. And you'll see that the locator plus on level A, the locator, which is 15 minutes plus 60 is 75 minutes for level A. And level B is shorter as well. Is longer, I mean. So we want to provide this for you. If you want to scan this QR code, you can dig deeper into the test series that we offer. They're available to you online. This is called the CASAS eTest Sampler. So you're welcome to explore these, grab your QR code. You can do it now or later, or you can just Google search keywords CASAS eTest Sampler or sample test items, and this will pop up for you. Any questions about the series? Yes, dear. That's a great question. What do other people think? She asked, is this just for instructors or can we share this with students? What do other people think? Makes them more comfortable? Great. It helps do exactly what we were saying earlier, right? Turn down the heat for our students. Oh, I'm familiar with this platform. Oh, all I have to do is point and click. Now I don't feel as stressed about taking the test online, right? And I know what types of questions I'm going to be asked in the format. Laura, Math Goals 2 blueprints. So what's a blueprint?
Do you guys know what a blueprint is? Well, you're going to find out. So we're going to take a quick look at some of our blueprints. The blueprints, it's really more for teachers and programs to understand what is going to be included on the assessment. So it includes content standards, competencies, and task areas. It also includes sample items and other resources. So let's take a look at the blueprints. So these are examples of 3 blueprints. We're looking at the level A, level C, and level E blueprint. And the reason why we wanted to show you all 3 is you can see between level A and E that it becomes more rigorous. So for example, in the level A blueprint, we see that 21% of the questions are about data analysis, 27% about number sense and operations, 31% about geometry and measurement, and then 21% about algebraic thinking. And then over in the level E, we see more algebraic thinking, more geometry, and then they're not just doing data analysis, but they're doing statistics and probability, which is more complex, and then the number sense and operations still. So it just really gives teachers a better understanding of what is included on the assessment. And question, why is it important for you as a teacher to know what's on the test? Right. That's right. Thank you. So for those online, one of our participants said that we need to begin with the end in mind and know what it is we're preparing our students for. So we're going to do, oh, you want to do the activity? Yeah. Let me just check in online. Okay, I think we're okay. No more questions. I'm going to let you go ahead and lead this activity.
Homepage. There is a link here for later exploration, so no stress, right? And if you can't find it, that's okay too. So I'm going to my search, CASAS, oops. Open any search engine. I'm going into Edge because it's available. Ooh, I don't want to do that. CASAS tests, homepage. And I'm hoping that this is sharing on screen, right? And that pulls up the homepage. If you look at the homepage, this is our landing page. And it's not sharing, so let me share a new share. There we go. Huh. I'm new sharing. All right. Does everybody have the homepage? Okay, great. From the homepage, let me go ahead and stop sharing here. It's not letting me switch my display, so.
Should I go get some?
Choose one of the quick links to the test series. So now choose see, I'm sharing this. What do you know? Anyone have a wondering or, yep. Mm-hmm. Right. There's no guesswork. And you bring up an excellent point. None of these questions are intended to trick anyone for any purpose. They're only there to determine someone's competency, what they know, what they don't know, right? So that you can help them get what they need to know to meet their goals and their outcomes. It's that simple. Okay, speaking of those questions and what they're going to give you in the reports, Laura's going to show about the test reports. But are they?
Mm-hmm. Right. And if you're using the teacher portal for a teacher, it's even more immediate because you don't have to wait for your data manager to get this to you. And I think there's another session on the teacher portal tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. So the reports are easy and immediate. You can get reports for your students, for your class, or at the agency level. Some of our most popular reports are the individual skills profile, student competency, content standards, task area report, and a lot more that you can customize. So this is an example of the content area report. And right away, you notice it's very easy to understand. So you can quickly see the different content standard areas. So with that first one, 69% of the students got that and were able to answer those kinds of questions. So you may not want to be focusing on that, right? What you might want to focus on are what's in the blue column. Right. So what you could do is give this report to your student after you took the pretest, and then maybe they would set up a little portfolio for themselves. So then once they take the post-test, you can see very graphically where that student may have made improvements, right? Because you're going to be directing your instruction to support that student where they need to learn. Competency area report. So this is the same concept, except this one is measuring competency areas. So we see right away questions around consumer economics. The student is not really understanding that competency area. So some of the more granular information in that area is use weights, measures, measurement scales, and money, right? So that would be something very key for a student to understand, and important for them to understand that they need to understand that, right? This is a task area performance report. So this is basically how the question is answered, the question is asked. So we see right away, it's that final graph where it's days. Well, what does that say? It's diagrams and measurement scales. So it may not be the student doesn't understand the content standard, but they don't understand the manner in which the question is being asked. So they would need help answering those kinds of questions. Does that make sense to everybody? Right. So what you could do for this student is you'd be working on algebraic thinking around consumer economics with diagrams and measurement scales. Right. That would be very targeted. Do you have a question? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, CASAS just began a partnership with Aztec, and it's called CASAS Connects. I know there's a session during the conference about this, but those two systems align with each other so that the data from CASAS is shared with Aztec, and then it creates the lesson plan for the student to target what it is they need to know. That's Aztec. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's just really important to share these reports with your students so they can see kind of where their areas of weakness are and maybe what their assets are, right? They don't need to worry about them. And then you would share the results with them for the post test, and they'd have a graphic representation of their improvement. This is the individual skills profile. This is like an old favorite. It has a lot of information in it. You may need to guide a student through what's here because it could be overwhelming, but important for teachers to know is this would give a teacher a great diagnostic for their students. It tells them the CASAS competencies, their college and career readiness, task area. It tells them whether they're ready to take the GED or the HiSET. Like it gives you a predictor, a probability of them passing it. Here's a closer look at the CASAS competencies. So we're just taking a closer look at this report. And these are the, yes, was there a question? Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So to clarify, all of these reports could be run at the student level, the class level, or even the agency level. So if you're a PD person and you're developing PD and you notice that every class is struggling with reading for details or inference, right? Then as a PD leader, you could put together a PD for teachers on how do you teach reading for details or inference. So these can be used depending on what your goals are. Yes. Yeah. Well, and also let me just say, we didn't mention this earlier, but maybe now's a good time. We were the only test publisher who we went through the NRS approval process, who got the 7-year approval. The other publishers only got 3 or 4 years of approval. So that's why we feel pretty good about our test reliability. Yes. It would depend on the level of the student, the level assessment that they're taking. And also, do you have a data manager that runs the reports for you? So it might depend on the filters that they're putting into the report. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna just try and move. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Moving it forward here. So here's an example of the GED predictor. It tells you, for example, for the first one, that the reasoning through language arts, that it's low, that they would pass the GED section, or for the HiSET, it's low. So the recommendation is more study needed. Yes. You should get that for math. Yeah. All right. Okay. We're going to go ahead and pivot to a couple of the other assessments that CASAS offers. Most people don't know that we have a essay test. It's not NRS approved, but it is a tool that can be used to help students improve their writing scores. So it's auto scored using AI. You have 3 prompt choices and the results are available immediately. This is what it would look like, the report for the student. The thing that I really love about this report is if you have a teacher, an emerging teacher who maybe doesn't have a lot of experience teaching writing skills, it provides a diagnostic for the students and the teacher. So the teacher can identify what are the areas that student needs support on. And it also, there are benefits for high school equivalency students. They get to practice quickly composing their thoughts, gain experience, taking a timed writing test, and for some programs, they use it as part of their placement. So this is a skill builder. Just want to make sure that everybody understands. It's not an NRS approved assessment. The other thing I want to say is the questions are paired. So health prompt the first time they take that essay, and then they can do a second health prompt so that you can kind of get that pre-post with the same content. This is the benefits for career and CTE programs or job seekers is they could use this for their portfolio, like an internship, or if they need writing assessments. Whoops, sorry. Spanish reading comprehension, very quickly. Again, this is not an NRS approved assessment, but it does, if you wanted to use it for placement in progress, or if you have a Spanish literacy program and you want to find out how literate are they in Spanish, and that may be their native language. So you want to know how literate are they in their native language. It can help with employability skills or bilingual workplace evaluation. This is a picture of Maria Portillo, who passed the Spanish GED. And a lot of sometimes people don't know that if you can pass the Spanish GED, that qualifies you for certain jobs, or it qualifies you to enter certain training programs. So a lot of people are like, why are you doing the Spanish GED? Why aren't you doing it in English? It's because they may be able to pass the Spanish GED sooner than the one in English, and they may be able to get a job because of that Spanish GED. I'm going to let you talk about e-tests because that's your. So the Spanish reading comprehension test is delivered through e-tests only. That's important. So Spanish reading comprehension is building digital literacy skills as well, for, as Laura mentioned, for the workplace, for future training, right? Because we know that most programs or job applications are going to be put in through technology. Rarely now do we hand a piece of paper to somebody to go into a program or get a job, right? All of those things are uploaded. So we are practicing using e-tests, which is an online test platform, to build digital literacy in addition to assessing their reading comprehension test. I know one of the students that I spoke with on the phone actually last week was doing an application for Walmart and called us and said, I took a CASAS test. Do you guys help me know how to use a computer better too? I said, I'm sorry, we don't, but we do have these online tests that give people practice. So Spanish comprehension through e-tests. And it's really designed for non-native English speakers with Spanish as their primary language, their language at home, who have had 3 to 9 years of education in their home country, right? That's what the Spanish comprehension test is designed for, is someone who's at an intermediate advanced level from a Spanish speaking and Spanish reading comprehension standpoint. So they've had schooling, right? They're not unschooled or have limited school years in their native country. If you have more questions about that, you can email us at info@casas.org and we'll be happy to share that with you. The NEDP, we just want to touch on lightly here, is an unbelievably wonderful program. It is online, again,
for adult learners, that online performance assessment in the vein of all CASAS assessments is competency-based assessment. What do they know and what can they do in the context of life and work, which is really important, right? That's what matters to our adult students. As well as the fact that the results in a specific state or a local issue state, it delivers a high school diploma. This is not an alternative to high school. This is not a GED HiSET kind of mindset. This is an actual high school diploma. So we have several states that are using the NEDP. And if you're interested in using that and giving your students that opportunity, it's really appropriate. It's very flexible and relevant to those adults who are really ready to go get a job, but the job requires a high school diploma. And the GED wouldn't be appropriate for them because they've got a lot of life and work experience. They just need to demonstrate mastery of that in a portfolio. So the NEDP is also really appropriate for people like me who did not like taking tests and had severe test anxiety, because I could show what I know and I could talk about it and write about it. But when it came to taking a multiple choice test, it was very challenging, right? If you want to know more about the NEDP, we do have information on our website. The thing that's really great about this NEDP, and as you can see, here's one of our students who got his diploma through the NEDP, is that they can work independently, right? And a lot of individuals want that independence to move at their own pace, to get her done, as my dad used to say way before that was a popular phrase. Another really wonderful program that we have, a product, it's actually a beautiful system. It used to be called the Workforce Skills Certification System, but now it's called eWorks. The eWorks, CASAS eWorks, is a platform that looks just like this. So the reading and math goals tests that you already administer are in this eWorks portfolio. The additional tests are around customer care and personal qualities, right? These are the things that employers say usually are workplace performance behaviors or soft skills. We hear all kinds of things like that, right? So eWorks is a full battery of assessments that includes reading and math that they already have taken and layers on 2 additional tests, sets for customer care, things like responding to a customer's needs, solving a problem for a customer's needs. And they're all problem-based scenarios. Again, real life and work, problem-based scenarios that I respond to determine if I can serve a customer's needs. And they're video-based. So they watch a video and then they answer questions in the scenario based on the context of that scenario. Pretty wonderful. In addition to that, you can see the student will be able to see their profile and their scores. Students have access to their portal, which is really wonderful. And then employers can also have access. So a career navigator could also have access to this to work with a student to build their skills. Oops. We are excited to announce remote testing in the eTests app is now available. We'll be launching and talking about that at our next news and updates webinar. So we're excited about that. The proctor starts the eTest testing session, can see in the application from the management side all of the students taking the test remotely, but those students can't see each other. And that proctor can remotely monitor the students' test taking from a distance, right? Very wonderful online option. Students can use a smartphone, tablet, or a laptop or desktop device. So across all of the devices that are approved for CASAS testing, if they meet the system requirements, you can take a remote test on that device. We're really excited about that. It's been a long time coming, right? And then there's a video in this presentation. I'm not sure you can hear it. So as you can see, there's a video that you can watch to get an idea of what that looks like. We do want to invite you to our Summer Institute. You will not be disappointed. Everyone loves coming to the CASAS Summer Institute. It is June 9th and 12th, so please visit our website or stop by our CASAS booth. CASAS booth 105 and 107. It's at the end of the exhibit hall, and we'll be happy to share more. We do have a partnership with Disneyland this year, so if you want to come and make it family. And last but not least, our office hours. Anytime you have a question, you are welcome to join us on Fridays at 11 a.m. April 18th is the next one, May 9th and 23rd. And again, a simple Google search, CASAS live office hours or office hours, will produce this schedule and how to register for that. And we have lots of training and support, of course. And last but not least, we really do want you to know we care about giving you the latest, greatest information at our news and updates webinars. This is the next one, and there's a link in the presentation. Again, simple Google search, CASAS news and updates webinars will get you to the same information. We want to thank you for your time. I'm Christine Maines, Laura Fetter. We are so happy to be here. You can email us. My card is in the back of the room. And if you would please hand those notice and wonders as you walk out the room, I'd love to see those. Thank you so much for your time today.
We couldn't see anything online after we went to the to go to the website. They got knocked off. They couldn't see the PowerPoints. Yeah. Yeah, and they couldn't hear because I think because you're here, you have to stay in front of the microphone or take this with you. Yeah.